Oh, enough of that. Well, hello, 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 and welcome to the PGH Writing Command Center for a special Thanksgiving podcast episode from God Bless the Cake Publishing LLC. And a little trivia here: Jingle Bells is actually widely believed to be a Thanksgiving song written by a fellow named Mr. Piermont in Medford, Massachusetts. And, they used to get a lot more snow earlier. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, it's widely believed that Jingle Bells is actually a Thanksgiving song. You see, they ride to, over the. At any rate, I am John Hausleben, the flagship author, chief photographer, music reviewer, music critic, and do everything guy here, chief cook, bottle washer at God Bless the Cake Publishing LLC, with a little help from my friends. And we're very, very excited you're here for the Thanksgiving podcast. We try to do these special holiday podcasts, and they've been very popular, and I enjoy doing them because holidays, every day gets a little humdrum, and holidays are something that's really cool. But any rate, if you are, and the crowd is here, and they're chomping on turkey legs and drinking grog out of big, like amulet, like goblets. They're sitting around like kings and queens here. I don't know what's going on. I didn't get a turkey leg. What's with that? Anyway, so if you're a first-time tuner-inner, I feel sorry for you. Listen to a crazy guy playing a kazoo from New Jersey. If you're a long-time subscriber, a repeat listener, well, then welcome back and welcome to everybody. And we're just thrilled you're here today. And we're having a whole load of fun here at the Writing Command Center, the world-famous PJH Writing Command Center. And can you really believe it is almost Thanksgiving? I'm recording this a couple days before, and the Thanksgiving week is underway, and the holidays are coming, or I guess they're here. I mean, actually, the holidays started like in right after Labor Day. That's when I saw the Christmas trees going up in the stores, and they were playing the jingle bells and all that stuff. This world's crazy, but at any rate, and we're almost at Christmas, so get your little Orphan Andy decoder pins out, because it's a moment of sponsorship. And this podcast is proudly sponsored by Corporate Facilities Group Incorporated, the leader in technical consulting, facilities maintenance, facilities management and operations, as well as property maintenance and management services throughout America. Check them out on the web at www.corporatefacilitiesgroup1.com. That's www.corporatefacilitiesgroup1.com. And you can also click on a little link woozy in the podcast episode website, and let the magic of the internet bring you directly to CFG's website. I would like to thank Lydia, Steve, Summer, the doggy, Liliana, and Smokey the kitty cat at CFG for sponsoring the podcast. Thank you very much. And we do have one announcement here. If you are a not-for-profit, a charity, you have a goodwill initiative, and you would like Paulie to announce it here on the podcast, I'm happy to do so. Please send an email to godblessthecake@gmail.com, and we will get you onto the podcast. We have only 20 days on the date of this recording to get the wreaths across America. We're volunteers. You can sponsor a wreath, and volunteers across America put holiday wreaths on the grave sites of veterans. It's a great organization. If you want to volunteer for a mission at a local cemetery, or you just want to check it out and sponsor a wreath, wonderful organization. So, the 13th of December, 2025, is the official day when they will all gather and lay these wreaths. And you can check it out at www.wreathsacrossamerica.org. Fantastic, fantastic holiday initiative there. Thank you so much. And one more announcement. If you would like, we only have a few left. If you tuned into the Magica Radio, the last Magica Radio I think it was part 3. I lose track of everything these days. But we announced we have these commemorative postcards, QSL cards, nice artwork on there designed by yours truly. And it's a collector's item. If you would like one of those postcards, QSL cards, simply send a email to godblessthecake@gmail.com and tell us what episode you listened to. Give us your name, your mailing address, and what app you listened to. And if you want to tell me I'm crazy, I know that already, but any comments are appreciated. And send that to us via email. Include that mailing address, and I'll personally sign a card for you and send it to you at no charge. How about that? So let's get to the meat and potatoes now. Thanksgiving, and the great thing about Thanksgiving, it's truly American kind of. I know the Canadians. I think Canadian Thanksgiving Day, but anyway, I have to ask my cousin. Any rate, what's not to like about Thanksgiving? Yeah, it's family and friends and football and beer and turkey, and you can have turkey soup, you can have turkey hash, you can have turkey. It goes on and on. Little turkey sandwiches are the best with a little mayonnaise on toast with a little black pepper. All my friends know that Paulie's a turkey aficionado. Turkey's my favorite. Absolutely. And pizza, too. But anyway, Thanksgiving, you get together. There's no pressure. There's no gifts. Although I saw a commercial was trying to push Thanksgiving gifts. Can you believe it? Bring a bottle of wine. Bring a dessert. Bring some cranberry sauce, some beer, whatever. Oh, come on. We got to buy Thanksgiving gifts. This is crazy. But anyway, I love Thanksgiving. And we're going to tell a story today. It's from my short story collection, the Autumn Collection. And I think that Thanksgiving gets passed by. They just skip right over it. Labor Day comes and now it's Christmas. And Halloween gets a little bump in there. But Thanksgiving, like the forgotten holiday. And it's so fantastic. And then you had the Black Friday thing with the retail stores, and that's kind of faded away. Why do we ruin everything? Why does everything that was fun get ruined by modern stuff? I don't get this world sometimes. Keep it plain, keep it simple, keep it heartwarming. And I knew people that would, they'd check the ads and they'd camp out in front of the store to get the best deal on the Black Friday, and they'd show them on the TV. And they'd interview Joe from Philadelphia, and Joe said, yeah, I'm going to get the big screen TV and the autographed football helmet by Paul Hausleben and goalie gloves, and I'm going to get the all these sales. I'm first in line. I've been sitting here since the day before Thanksgiving in my tent. You remember those days. But then, of course, Black Friday started in Labor Day, early Black Friday. Pre-Black Friday Day, season busters in October, Black Friday pre-sale, on and on and on. And then, of course, the big internet shopping machines took over, and all the luster and fun, if it was fun camping out in front of a store, I don't know, I never did it, but it was fun to see the people, and they'd get these deals. All that is pretty much gone now. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I don't see it so much anymore, but... goodness gracious. But Thanksgiving, it's special. You got the parade, you got the football, you got all this stuff going on with the turkey cooks. And so I want to tell a story. Uh, I wrote it many years ago, and it's called Cranberry Sauce and Stuff. And it's based upon a legendary Thanksgiving holiday that went a little awry for the old man. and, and once more, my stories are fiction. Fiction, yes. Based upon a lot of nonfiction stuff that I stick in there. So this one particular, the trouble started with my beloved sister. You see, her best friend, and in the books we're going to use the name Maureen Zipparelli, a beautiful Italian American New Jersey gal, and my sister's older than me. And the trouble started, I don't know, I might have been around 13, 14, and the trouble started with my sister, Dottie, wanting to go over to the Zipparellis for Thanksgiving Day because cute cousin Jimmy's coming, you see, Jimmy Zipparelli. My sister had a little crusher-rooski on old the Jimster there. And she kept dropping the hints with the old man and dear mom. But we had a big family shindig planned at our joint, you see? And the old man was like, you ain't going over to the Zipparellis. You're going to stay home here for Thanksgiving. We got Aunt Alma coming and Cousin Pat and Aunt Lois and Uncle Ed and your cousins. Everybody's coming here for the Thanksgiving. And they expect you to be here. You know, this family obligation stuff. But here's the zinger. My old man was the most traditional holiday guy there ever was. He had this fantastic set of rules and regulations for holidays, you see. I forget how many laws of Moses there are, but the old man's rules exceeded it. There's like thousands of laws, right? And I think that's the rabbi's real job, to interpret the laws. And no one could interpret the laws of the old man for holidays. You had to do this, you had to do that, you had to do this. He was very traditional. And one thing I loved is Christmas started after Thanksgiving. He loved Thanksgiving, he loved turkey, and you didn't play Christmas music until after Thanksgiving. You didn't put the Christmas tree up until after Thanksgiving. And then the Christmas tree came down the day after New Year's. And my mother wasn't too happy about that. Being English, she liked that 12 days of Christmas stuff. And I kind of liked it too. And one of the old man's fervent rules are, like on the 4th of July, you got to have hamburgers and hot dogs on the grill with beer. And you got to have potato salad, or you got to have macaroni salad. So all these traditions, and you got to wait till after it gets dark to set off fireworks. And Thanksgiving, you had to have turkey. He never could understand these folks. And growing up there in New Jersey, you know, there were a lot of folks like the Zipparellis. And the Zipparellis would have Italian meals, you see. And the old man, that would grind his gears. A fervent Thanksgiving, you have turkey, you have cranberry sauce, you have stuffing, you have the green beans, you have the mashed potatoes, and you have the gravy. That's all you can have on Thanksgiving, and the olives. And he had this thing in Patterson. There was a guy over off of Ryerson Ave. I think maybe he was on Union Boulevard. I don't know. And he had these pickled onions, Anton's pickled onions. And the old man had to have his pickled onions. My mother didn't like them. I didn't like them much either. But apparently they were legendary in the neighborhood. So the fervent set of rules. So he'd say to my sister when she'd start beating the drum, every night at the dinner table, cute cousin Jimmy's coming over, and Maureen says I can come over for her house to the Zipparellis. And my old man be like, to have what? Lasagna? What do they have? Oh, antipasto, and they have meatballs, and they have lasagna, and they have pasta dishes, and they have a tiramisu cake, and they have, all this Italian. My old man like, that's crazy. You got to have turkey on Thanksgiving Day. You can't have all that stuff. And it was a fervent old man rule. But Dottie wouldn't give up. She tried, but she couldn't crack the old man at all. My mother stayed fairly neutral, and she would drop little things like, well, maybe Dottie can go over, after we have our dinner and everybody's taking a nap. From the turkey hangover. But the old man wasn't having it. So any rate, so that's when the trouble started. And then the other trouble was, which kind of stuck in the old man's mind, is Cousin Pat was coming. Now we love Cousin Pat. Cousin Pat is the most awesome person, beautiful, beautiful, but she was clumsy. And if you listen to the Fourth of July podcast about when she knocked over the charcoal grill, which caused a whole bunch of trouble, the old man and Cousin Pat was kind of a large lady, and that's Aunt Alma's daughter. You see, Aunt Alma came over from England. That's my grandfather, my mom's dad's sister, and she came over later than the rest of the crew. And Aunt Alma had flaming red hair and sweet as pie. She wore these fantastic bright green, red, yellow dresses. And beautiful she had big glasses and she had always wore high heels. She always looked like she was going out on a night at the town. Aunt Alma was the most well-dressed woman you ever saw. She would wear pearls and beautiful, beautiful. And Cousin Pat would come, and Cousin Pat would knock into stuff and cause all kinds of calamities. And she was big, and she'd flop on the couch, and the springs would pop out of the couch. And the old man, our couch wasn't too good. We didn't have a lot of money. So a couple days, but when he heard that Cousin Pat was coming with Aunt Alma, we went up to the hardware store, and we bought some wood and some 2x4s. And the old man, we flipped over the couch, and we constructed like an A-frame underneath. This is true, because he knew that Cousin Pat would come in and she'd just, flop down, or she'd fall or tumble and the whole couch would collapse. So we reinforced the couch. So the old man had some angst, and we got this gigantic turkey. It was the biggest turkey at the food world, like 25, 26-pound turkey. So my mother, who would get up at 3 in the morning on Thanksgiving to start cooking this bird because it's so big. So now, my mom being English, they tend to overcook stuff. I hope she doesn't listen to this podcast. She's a fantastic cook, but she always worried about people getting sick in the turkey. And the old man couldn't even get the turkey out of the oven. It was like molten lava. When he opened the oven door, it would peel the wallpaper off the wall. The paint would come off the ceiling because of the steam coming out. He'd have to wear like asbestos suit and a helmet to get close to the turkey, to get it out of the oven and put it on the table to let it cool down a little bit so he could carve it. And my mother be fretting the whole time as the wallpaper's peeling off the wall, wondering if she cooked it enough. And the other thing we had with my dear mom was her parakeets. The budgies, the little parakeets. My Aunt Lois had a canary, Jimmy. And Jimmy used to annoy everybody because Jimmy would sing all the time. He was like Frank Sinatra in a cage in bird form. And he was the happiest bird. Well, we had parakeets, 2 sisters. One would have a parakeet, and Aunt Lois would have the canaries. My mom just loved parakeets. So we had this parakeet, and we named him Fluffy. And the Fluffster was like the worst pet on earth. He just would sit on his perch with his feathers all fluffed out, and that's why we called him Fluffy. And he didn't do anything. Well, my old man used to say that he had a rare tropical disease of some sort. So one morning we took the cover off, and the Fluffster was in the bottom of the cage with his feet sticking up in the air. So I tried to my mother screamed. I tried to convince her that Fluffy was just asleep, but that didn't work. So we buried Fluffy in the garden. That's another story. But at any rate, we got a new bird named Fritzie. And Fritzie was like the anti-Fluffy. He didn't sing like Jimmy, but he was like the wildest bird. He'd fly all around in the cage, and he'd slam into the wire, and the cage would rock, and all the seeds would go flying out. And his feathers would go. I mean, we'd let him out of the cage once in a while. He'd fly all around the house, drive my old man nuts. And my mother, every morning, she loved Fritzie. She'd take the cover off of the cage, you see, and she'd put her face right up to the cage and try to teach him to say hello. And for about 20 times in a row, every morning, she'd say, "Hello, Fritzie. Hello, Fritzie." And Fritzie would come hopping over on the perch and look at my mother. And every once in a while, he would move his beak like a tease. And my mother thought he was going to say something. And he never said a word. The whole time we had Fritzie, he never talked. And my mother didn't give up. My old man be reading the newspaper. He said, "That bird is not gonna talk. You put your big moon head up next to the bird cage, and he doesn't know what you're saying." And my mother's like, "No, no, no, you can teach parakeets. They will talk." Well, Fritzie never talked, but I think he just liked to tease my mother that he could. So we had Fritzie the bird. And Fritzie is paramount to the story, you see. So now it's the day before Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving Eve. And we get up early because the old man had a day off. And my mother is frantic. She's like getting ready for the big day, you see. And she's planning stuff. And she's going through all the cupboards and she's looking in the refrigerator. My father and I and my sister's still trying to get, over to the Zipparellis, dropping hints. And my mother's frantic, and the old man's like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, I don't think I bought the stuffing or the cranberry sauce." And my old man's like, "What?" She says, "I have the potatoes, and I have the carrots, and I have the green beans, and you got the turkey, and I have the gravy, and I have all," she's going on and on. The old man's like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. You didn't buy cranberry sauce and stuffing for Thanksgiving?" So immediately this is, a violation of the old man's rules. And my mother's like, "No, it was on the shopping list, but I think I missed it." And the old man puts his newspaper down. He looks at me. He says, "What time does Food World open?" And I was like, "Well, I think 7 o'clock." I said, it's the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, Dad. The place is going to be packed." And my mother's like, "Oh, please, could you go to the Food World? Bring Paulie. He knows the store like the back of his hands. And he'll get you in and out real quick. And the earlier you go, the better." Well, that's like shooting a starting pistol off at the Daytona 500 for my old man. Nothing he loved more than early. But here's the key. The old man gets up, he folds his newspaper up and he's kind of cracking his knuckles and flexing his back a little bit and working his legs. He's going to get ready to, go to the Food World. And we could walk to the Food World. It was right down the street from our house, only 2 city blocks. And the old man says, "Joan," my mom's name, Joe. Actually, my mom's name is Evelyn. Her middle name is Joan. But at any rate, you did get my pickled onions, didn't you? And my mother's face dropped. "No pickled onions." So now the old man's got a mission. He's like, "Get your hat, get your coat, Paulie. We're going to the Food World." And here we go. And I'm looking at the clock on the wall, and it's like 6:15. I'm like, "Dad, it'll take us like 5 minutes to walk there. They don't open, maybe 7 o'clock. It's like 6:15. He says, "We're going to have to get in line. Get your coat and hat. We're going to the Food World." So there we are, standing with nobody else in sight at the Food World, at the front door. And there's not maybe more than 5 or 6 cars in the parking lot. We walked, and the old man's looking around, and those cars are probably the people that work in the store. And I knew the manager. Everybody knew the manager of the Food World. It was this guy named Orsini, this Italian guy. And his whole family ended up being like managers and employees in the Food World. It was like a heritage. His old man, Orsini's old man, had been the manager of the Food World. He retired, and his son took over. And now Orsini's son, this long-haired kid, he worked at the Food World too. They groomed all these Orsinis to run the Food World. It might have been one of those, how shall I say, mob-run joints. So we're standing in front of the door now. It's like 6:30. And my old man, we had a wedding to go to, and the wedding started at 1 in the afternoon. At 11 o'clock, my father's at the church, wondering where everybody is. Because we always had junk cars, and you had to be prepared in case the car broke down on the way to the event. So we're standing in front of the door, and here comes Orsini's son, the kid with the long hair. And he doesn't even pay any attention. He just takes a key and he opens up the front door. And the old man looks at his watch. He's like, see, it's a good thing we're here early. You see, they're opening up early because of the Thanksgiving. So we come walking in and we start walking around the food store. And I was like, well, the stuffing's in this aisle and the cranberry sauce is over here. And I think your pickled onions is over there. And the old man's kind of cruising around now because he's got one of those little baskets and he's getting some confidence now. And he's picking up some other things and he's wondering if we have enough of this and enough of that. And we're going up and down the aisles, and we got the stuff, and we got the cranberry sauce, and now we're looking for the pickled onions. Well, we're in this aisle, and all of a sudden, these two police officers come running down the aisle, screaming and yelling for us to put our hands up. And the old man's like, what? And here comes Orsini running down the aisle. And my old man's got his pickled onions in his hand, and the police are like, what are you doing? It turns out that Orsini's kid was not supposed to open the front door, you see? And they thought we broke into the joint and were wandering around. The old man's like, what are you talking about? And Orsini comes running up. He's like, oh, I'm so sorry. The cops were having some donuts and some coffee in the back room with Orsini, and the cameras went off, you see? And they see these two guys walking around the store. So they apologized and everything, and Orsini gave us a discount on the food. He recognized me and my old man. He's like, oh, I'm so sorry. We didn't see it clear on the camera. We thought somebody broke in. He's like, you dopey son, open the front door. Ain't our problem. It's the craziest thing. So at any rate, we get through that calamity, and nothing could ever go smooth. You see, it's always got to be some kind of wild, crazy adventure. So now we're coming out, and we've got our bags of groceries, and we're going to walk back home. And my old man looks over in the parking lot, and now, you know, the store is officially open. And he sees Mr. Zipparelli. And Mr. Zipparelli's got the hood of his car up. And my old man's like, hey, Paulie, ain't that Mr. Zipparelli over there with that wreck of a car he's got? And I said, yeah, it looks like he overheated or something, Dad. Now, the old man was the best backyard mechanic in Patterson and Haledon, New Jersey. So once more, he's like, hold my beer, hold my pickled onions, cracking his knuckles. And he goes over there, and he's like, hey, Zipparelli, what happened? And Mr. Zipparelli had the Italian thing. Oh, Paula, I'm so happy you and Paulini are here. He says, my car, there's all kinds of steamer-rooska. He's like, all right, calm down, Zipparelli. I can see what's going on. You popped an upper hose here. It's not a big deal. Oh, I don't know what am I going to do. My wife, he says, hey, can you believe this, Paul? He says, my wife, she forget the lasagna noodle. I gotta come in here. And my old man's like, yeah, my wife forgot the cranberry sauce and stuff. And I get it, Zipparelli. But you ought to have turkey for Thanksgiving. So the old man's leaning over preaching about turkey. And Mr. Zipparelli's a very nervous little guy. And my old man's like, you're breathing garlic all over me, Zipparelli. Back off here. I can't concentrate. Oh, no, Paula, what am I going to do? I got to get to my lasagna. And my father's like, yeah, calm down. He said, look, Zipparelli, I can get you going. He said, go in the store, get your lasagna, get your stuff. You ought to buy a turkey, too. And you need to go into one aisle and buy some electrical tape. And he said, then go to Orsini. He's a paisano like you. You can talk all that stuff. And tell Orsini that you need some jugs of water. I'm going to fill your cooling system back up. We're going to fix the hose. You get your lasagna, you get your stuff, and you go straight home, and then you buy a new hose after Thanksgiving. You're going to be okay. Say, oh, Paula, I love it. I go right in. And he goes, run into the food world. And we're staying out there. And here he comes with the supply. So the old man was a little split he had an old wreck of a Dodge. I think it was like a Dodge Dart or a Chrysler Newport, something like that. And he drove like a maniac. Mr. Zipparelli, the fenders are falling off. He's got dents all over. He drove like a maniac. And so anyway, we fix up the hose, wrap it with the tape, and the old man refills the system, and he's like, "You got to get real antifreeze in here, Zipporelli. So don't let this go. You're gonna freeze your car up on a cold night." So Zipporelli's got all his supplies, and he's like loving on us. He's, "Oh, you're the best of Paula and Paulini. You're the best of people. Thank you so much." And he gets in the thing, and he drives like 7,000 miles an hour out of the parking lot. My old man's like, "This guy." So we get we walk home after. I mean, now it's like 9 o'clock, 9:30, 9:30, 10 o'clock. Who knows? My mother's like, "Where were you guys?" And I said, "Well, where do you want to start? When they thought we broke into the food world, or when we fixed Mr. Zipporelli's car in the parking lot?" And we just went for cranberry sauce and stuffing. All my life, I always had food store adventures. So we have all the supplies. Thanksgiving comes, and here we are, this fantastic family get together. Cousin Pat comes, and Aunt Alma, and we got Uncle Ed, and we have Aunt Lois, and all my cousins. And the old man's in his glory. My mother's fretting about everybody getting sick on the turkey. In the meantime, the kitchen's like 72,000 degrees. And poor Fritzie is like, his cage was in the kitchen. Poor Fritzie wishes that. And I think Fritzie, he spotted that bird go in the oven, and he's like, poor guy. And Fritzie's flying around. And my mother would always put out these little sneaky snacks, and the parade's going on, and it's Thanksgiving, and Dottie's still complaining about not being able to go over to the Zipporellis and see cute cousin Jimmy, and the old man's over it. He's drinking beer now. It's 10:30 in the morning. He's happy. The Macy's parade is on. The football's coming on. Everybody's having a great time. Cousin Pat hasn't broken anything yet. She flopped on the sofa, but the sofa was reinforced, so we were good. She twisted her ankle coming up the steps or something. I don't know what happened, but everything's going great. We're having a great time. People are drinking some beer and wine. And my mother put out these little snicky snacks, and she had these little figs, these sugared figs and dates and little raisins and peanuts and walnuts and things. And people are nibbling on that. We had the chocolate-covered cherry guys. And Cousin Pat and Aunt Alma come in the kitchen there, and there's Fritzie. And they love parakeets, too. They're English, too, when they're talking to Fritzie, and Fritzie flying around. And Cousin Pat starts feeding Fritzie these fig guys, these dates. And he's in his glory. He's just chomping these things down one after the other. And I didn't like the look of it. I said to my mother, I said, "Do you think Fritzie should be eating all that stuff? He doesn't. He usually just has his seeds." And my mother's like, "Oh, no, I give him a little orange once in a while, and a little this and a little that. He'll be fine." Well, a little this and a little that compared to about 15 figs that Cousin Pat was giving him. I was like, I don't like that. Well, it came time for the old turkey to come out, and the old man put his molten asbestos gloves on and his shields, and he managed to get the turkey out of the oven, and he put it on the platter thing on the kitchen table there. And, it's the steam is coming off of it. He has to open the windows because all the windows are getting condensation on them. And we got all the other stuff going on. My mother's buzzing around my poor mother, I don't think she ever got to enjoy a Thanksgiving until we were out of the house. I think the old man, oh my gosh, it was so much work. And then you had to clean those dishes, and you were cleaning the dishes in the turkey pan until 8 o'clock at night, and you're half in the bag. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. So the turkey is sitting there, and here comes Cousin Pat again. And Cousin Pat still is feeding Fritzie these dates. And being Cousin Pat, Fritzie's flying all around the cage, bouncing off the wires, and being Cousin Pat and being clumsy, she bangs into the cage, and the cage starts swinging. And the door of the cage pops open, and Fritzie's like, okay, freedom. Hey, flies out of the cage. And Fritzie's flying all around the house, and the feathers are going. My old man's like, Pat, you let the bird out of the cage. she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I banged into it. So we're trying to get Fritzie back in the cage, which is no easy task because he's having a blast with all these people and he's flying and he's sitting on the cupboard and then he's sitting on top of the refrigerator. And every time you get close to him, he flies off. And Cousin Pat's like, oh, I'll get some more of those figs. And Fritzie was like, I had enough figs. I ain't getting good. I'm not falling for that. So Fritzie's flying all around, and this is the moment that lives in infamy forever in Hausleben annals of history, you see? And there's the turkey sitting on the kitchen table in all its roasted glory. Fantastic stuffing inside of them, golden turkey legs, that skin roasted to a beautiful golden brown, and the aromas of Thanksgiving and roast turkey and sage and onion just permeate in the air. And then Fritzie decides to fly and sit on top of the turkey. And before I could react, before my old man could react, we saw it happening, you see. The figs worked their magic in poor Fritzie's digestive system. And I don't want to go into too much of the gory details, but when he lifted his tail and it started wiggling back and forth like the conductor conducting the New York Philharmonic Orchestra with his baton waving in the air. And all of a sudden, I'm going to call them recycled figs, exploded. And when I mean exploded, they exploded. And my mother just stood there in horror and started to scream, and everybody's watching, and I ran and I couldn't make it in time, and boosh! Oh. And the old man, you see, he grabbed a dish rag from the sink, and he ran right over to the top of the turkey as I'm grabbing Fritzie, and the old man's like, see, it's not that bad. It's just on the top. It's kind of dripping down the sides of the bird. And even the great Uncle Ed. Uncle Ed was one of the world's greatest eaters. He's looking at the turkey. He's like, nope, no, not having that. And everybody's just shaking their head. Nope, Even poor Fritzie showed some remorse. And Dottie went off screaming into the bedroom trying to take advantage of the situation. She said, if I had only gone to the Zipperellis. And we just sat there looking at our poor sad turkey with recycled dates and figs dripping all over it. The old man's cleanup efforts failed. The turkey was a Fritzie tragedy. It no longer had any appeal whatsoever. None. Oh, my goodness. Disaster. I gotta... A sad eulogy. And there it is. Recycled figs and turkey. And I ran and grabbed poor Fritzie and I got him. And I think even Fritzie was surprised at what came out of him. And my old man's like, the bloody those things. And my mother's like, my turkey, our beautiful turkey. So we were picking up the pieces of our shambles of our Thanksgiving dinner. And we said, well, we can still give thanks for all this food and all this wonderful stuff we have. When all of a sudden, the doorbell rings. And the old man's like, doorbell, Thanksgiving Day. What the heck is going on here? So the old man, he goes stomping out to the front door there, and he opens the front door, and there must have been 15 Zipperellis standing outside our front door, including cute cousin Jimmy. And my sisters were, oh, Jimmy, and Mr. Zipperelli's there, and they're all holding these tin foil, these foil tins with food. And I could smell it from here, and it's Mr. Zipperelli. He says, oh, Paula, head of the Paulalini, it's a happier Thanksgiving. Happier Thanksgiving. We come to say a thank you for saving our meal and fixing a macarolini. And my father's like, what? He says, yeah, we have a food for you. We have a feast. And my father's like, what are you talking about, Zipperelli? And my mother's like, oh, come in, please come in. Come on in, Phil. Come on in, Maria. Come on in, Maureen, Jimmy, everybody come in. And they're carrying. And they bring it in the kitchen. And my old man's like looking at the turkey and they're looking at the food. They're putting it on the kitchen table and it has to go to the dining room. He says, yes, we have a homemade lasagna. And he takes the foil off. And we got a spaghetti. We got a pasta with my grandmother's a special gravy recipe. And then the meatballs, these gigantic, glorious, fantastic meatballs. And then we have an antipasta. We have a salad. We have a homemade red wine and white wine that we make in our plastic swimming pool in our basement. And they're unveiling this Italian feast of glory. And I could see the old man's wheels spinning in his head. And he's looking at our catastrophe of a turkey. And he's looking at mountains and mountains of Italian food heaven. The meatballs. I swear the meatballs were like baseballs. And there were hundreds of them. And they're soaked in this fantastic gravy with this cheese, this grated cheese, and the aromas and the spaghetti. And my English grandfather's like, I'm in. He was the first to violate the old man's blessed rules and regulations. So there it was. We pushed old roast turkey aside, and we all sat at we didn't fit in the dining room table. We had to get folding tables, and we were into the living rooms. We were into the kitchens. We were in the bedrooms. We got 900 zipperellis. We've got lasagna. We got meatballs. We got pasta. We got antipasta. We got the red wine, a Ruski going. And it was a Thanksgiving to remember. Happy Thanksgiving. And that was the year that Recycled Figs and Fritzie and Cousin Pat managed to violate the old man's rules and regulations. And we had the most amazing Thanksgiving. And Maureen was kind of cuddling up to me, and Dottie's with Cousin Jimmy, and she's in heaven. And Gramps is dancing he had quite a bit of that white wine he made in the basement. And Gramps is, and Aunt Alma and Cousin Pat, the whole house is shaking. They're dancing to music in the living room with Mrs. Zipperelli and some of the Zipperellis. They couldn't even speak English, and everybody's dancing. It was Happy Thanksgiving. You can read about it. And we did have the cranberry sauce and the stuffing, too, along with the Italian food. And they had these cannolis. They had these, the Italian pastries, the cookies. Oh, my goodness. So it was a merger of beliefs. And it was all about love. And it was all about giving thanks for all these great things that God gives us and life gives us. And that's what makes Thanksgiving so special. And all the old man did, we fixed his car, but he gave thanks. Mr. Zipperelli celebrated the holiday, the true meaning. And we just sat around, and I think it was, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night before the Thanksgiving celebration finally ended. And I remember sitting on the front porch. It was kind of a cold night. And Maureen, she was kind of taking a liking to me, and I had a big street hockey game coming up the next morning, and she said she was going to come over. We're playing the Buckley Park Bruisers from Buckley Park over in Patterson, our neighborhood nemesis. And I needed to get a good night's sleep because I'm the goalie, you see. So, and she's kind of snuggling up to me, and I got a sweater on, and we could look through the houses, and you could see the TVs flickering, in the neighborhood, the old neighborhood. It's getting dark. Well, it is dark. And, remnants of football games and celebrations are going on. And we're parked up and down the street because there's so many Zipperellis. We had leftover Italian food we didn't eat the turkey, by the way. He gave it to Pussface, the cat, the neighborhood cat. Pussface didn't care. He didn't eat anything. And you could see the TVs flickering. And I thought to myself as I'm talking to Maureen, and she gave me a little smooch on the kiss, a little kiss on the cheek there. And I thought, All these people having these fantastic Thanksgiving celebrations, families, friends, football, beer, ultimate American holiday. What a glorious time. Cranberry sauce and stuffing. Happy Thanksgiving. So I hope you enjoyed this little Thanksgiving special and the crazy adventures and the old man. The next year, despite the success of the Italian Thanksgiving, we went back to the turkey and we made sure Fritzie had no dates and he didn't escape. But and the old man had his pickled onions, and we didn't have to go to the food world and almost get arrested. But simple things, Thanksgiving, very special. So I wish you a happy Thanksgiving, you and your family, all the blessings. I hope that your car doesn't break down in the food world parking lot and your parakeet doesn't escape. But I hope you can celebrate in whatever way you can to just enjoy the simpleness of the day. Maybe some friends, maybe some families, or if you're by yourself, you can still just thank everybody and thank this world and thank God for all the great things we have, because that's what Thanksgiving is all about. Hey, what do I know? I'm just a guy from Paterson, New Jersey. So thanks for tuning in. Hey, please be kind, be gentle, be very tolerant. Remember, kindness is for free. Spread it around as much as you can. It can only make this world a better place. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody, and enjoy your lasagna. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now. Yay, I gotta get the. Hey, you guys, do you want some pasta?